Radio Free Skaro!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 943. I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
Warren's freshly back in Vancouver.
Yeah, I was just in Vegas.
Las Vegas.
And not
all
fun.
that-
Before
Same time zone jet lag.
Yeah, well, I'm just tired. It's work zone is what it was. I was there
Yeah.
for work for well, it's done now. I can say the world of concrete. That old chestnut. You know, you guys, I guess Galley's okay, but world of concrete, baby, that's where it's at.
Welcome to the world of concrete.
I know I missed my chance to go.
Boy, you did.
Yeah.
You sure did. Yeah, but I was working the whole time, and I mean the whole time, like 16-hour days. So
Right.
yeah, I'm very tired.
Concrete doesn't just sit there. So
No,
That's true.
If you deign to go to my work site, which I won't say on here, then you would see stuff that would prove that very point. That doesn't just sit there. But anyway,
I feel like one of my earliest childhood memories of watching TV, I think, was an episode of The Incredible Hulk, where I think there was a fight or something around a concrete place, and they were making concrete. I thought it was like liquid rock.
oh yeah,
It like coming down the little the trough or something
It's
like that.
nuts.
As a kid, I just thought, this is amazing. What is this stuff? And yeah, so there you go. Concrete, Warren.
All right.
concrete,
Yeah.
very exciting.
Incredible Hulk. If anybody knows which episode I'm talking about, send me your answers, please, on a 3x5 postcard.
I'm more of a $6 million man myself.
just write brains on a 3x5 postcard and send it to Krusty.
Yeah, please do. Yep. I was a Greatest American Hero.
Oh, you damn right.
Yeah.
That's on Amazon, or at least it was on Amazon.
It
Oh,
still
yeah.
is on Amazon, I believe, from 1983 with William Catt,
and Robert Culp, more importantly.
and most importantly, Connie Sellecca.
I can't argue with that.
Definitely Connie Sellecca. Yeah.
Yeah, I probably watched that because I thought she looked like Wonder Woman, which I also watched as a very young lad.
And-
so little though that I don't remember her flying in an invisible jet.
Well, they used to show it in syndicated form on KXLY Spokane, and presumably other stations at the time.
All right.
When I was
ABC affiliate.
probably a teenager, and they jumped from the 40s to the 70s, and one of the episodes, and they don't explain it, which is what I love about old TV. They're like, it's the 70s now, go to hell, who cares?
Right.
and so one episode they go, here's Special Agent Tom Baker, and I'm like, what? And I had just started watching Doctor Who at the time. I'm like, that's not Tom Baker. What's happening? I don't even know.
I know what Tom Baker is, and that is not Tom Baker.
Well, speaking of like old stuff, did either of you ever watch Tom Baker on Remington Steel?
Yes, I remember. I tuned in specifically to see him on Remington Steel when it aired on CBC. Because
Was he
Yeah,
British in that? I've never seen it. So,
barely. He's barely in it. He was in it for
Okay.
like 5 minutes. He throws a dog at somebody or something. I can't remember.
didn't they? I thought it was like when they shot. Didn't they shoot that like at the first episode of the season or something? So they probably went to London or something to film that because it was mostly
Maybe.
filmed in the States, wasn't it? Remington Steel or so, I don't know.
Well,
I'm even
sure
thinking
it
Peter
was shot in the
Davison's
States, but-
turn because Magnum PI went to the UK and Peter Davison was in an episode
I
of
don't
Magnum
remember.
PI.
And the main thing about Magnum PI is that Tom Selleck is now shilling reverse mortgages in the States as the most
know.
avuncular man ever to have existed.
Well, because he's the head of Blue Bloods, which is
Sure.
that CBS TV show, which is ending after like 16 seasons.
I've seen not 1 second of it.
Yeah, you haven't,
I've
but
seen a
I-
parody on Family Guy. That's the closest I've come.
I bet you that more people have watched an episode of that than anyone has ever watched Game of Thrones because
Or
people
Doctor
just
Who, for that matter.
tune in on CBS on
Yeah.
a Tuesday night or whatever it is. It's like 38 million people watched Blue Buds last
Well,
night. Thinking,
here's the
wow,
thing.
that's more people that subscribe to HBO. That's
CBC,
crazy.
this will make sense in a second. CBC Radio 2 used to be just classical music until they found out about probably 15 years ago now that their demographic was literally dying off. So nobody was listening.
Right.
That is
Like
what
CBS
CBS is going to be in a few years.
Yeah, Tiffany Network. Well, there's, I mean, as we very gradually steer this ship towards Doctor Who, that official report saying that the and Chris Chibnall even said it too. The average age of the BBC One viewer is 60 years old. I mean, it's
Well, I mean, I was listening to The Town, a very good podcast about the inner machination to Hollywood. They had, I don't remember his name, but he's like a finance guy. And he was saying, if you look at it, short form video is the most dominant form of entertainment, especially with young people. So there you go. It's this theory, not this specifically, but this kind of thing on YouTube.
Yeah, that's talking for the first 6 minutes.
Yep.
Of this podcast,
yeah, ripping stuff.
About,
Take that, Hollywood.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn this into
$3,000 million marble film. 3 idiots are talking.
We're gonna turn this first 6 minutes into 6 different TikTok videos to share.
Yeah, God,
like and subscribe.
Dare to dream
on YouTube.
Hit that and smash the
like button,
the bell. Whatever.
Hit your bell notification so you get instant notification.
To cause another travesty of media, I was on the plane and I was looking at their online WestJet movies, and they're like, 2001, yeah, I'll watch it on my phone. Why the hell not? And on top of that, so I just skipped to the good bits of 2001, if you can do such a thing, which I did, because it was only a 2-hour flight. And then it was also 4:3. I'm like, wow, this is, I wish I could get a screen. I wish I could somehow take a picture of me watching this because it's 4:3. Probably an ancient print with pan and scan, I would think. Right? And but it's on my phone on a plane. I'm like, this is both a miracle and a travesty at the same time.
Christopher Nolan is exhuming Stanley Kubrick so he can lie in his grave and roll in it, basically, from what you've just said there.
I know. But I was like, I had to do it just to do it.
Yikes.
Anyway.
Still a cool movie, even if it's 4:3 on your phone on a
it's
plane.
my favorite movie. It's my favorite movie of all time.
Wow.
Yeah, it's my favorite. I swear.
So you've actually seen it then?
I have seen it. Not only did I see it, Chris, I know you were being jocular here, but I'd seen it a few times in my 20s, and I thought, I love this movie. It's amazing. But I hadn't watched it in a while because I didn't want to have to choose a different one if my opinion had fallen. But it was showing in the theater.
Yeah, I saw it in the theater same time. Different.
And so I thought, let's do it. I've never seen it in the theater before, and I sat there and I was like,
it's amazing in the theater.
It's the best. It's the best one.
It's my favorite. Still kick ass. It's amazing.
Oh my God.
It's 60 years old, something like that. It looks incredible. It's not as realistic as Star Wars, but
Isn't it? Isn't it?
I mean,
it's more realistic when you compare it to what space actually looks like.
Well, yes,
that's what makes it feel real.
But it looks so good. It still looks great.
Inspired by Doctor Who.
Just to delay talking about Doctor Who for a moment longer.
I was working it in there a little bit. That's master plan.
On a related note,
sure.
What was that theater downtown on Jasper Ave and
Paramount Theater, which has been a theater for decades, but yeah.
First time I ever saw A Clockwork Orange. Speaking of Kubrick films, was there.
Yeah. Right.
Because they used to run, I don't know, it's cheap Saturday night.
Yep, I saw Caligula there.
No,
wow, that was an experience.
Oh, I swore.
Yep.
The print they had for A Clockwork Orange was
orange, terrible,
grainy, torn. Right. It was just the worst thing ever.
I saw almost every Star Trek movie there, and I saw Aliens and Terminator 2 there. I'm sure of that.
Wow. So. Yeah, it's not that anymore. I think it stopped being a theater.
It was
a nightclub in the 2000s, if not earlier.
Church most recently.
I remember it was a nightclub. Yeah,
and it was a church most recently, I think, and now it might be derelict.
Yeah, might be. Anyway, downtown Edmonton.
Nobody cares. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Canadian content quotient fulfilled. Nicely done, everyone, on that one. We will expect the check in the mail CRTC. That's not at all how the CRTC works.
That's nothing like how the CRTC works, to the extent it does.
Yeah, exactly. On this episode, it's part 2 of our Michael Ferguson Miniscope, covering the greatest Doctor Who story ever made, The Ambassadors of Death and the Claws of
pronounced Utopia or Heaven Sent.
Oh, talking about so much. So
it is. It's phenomenal. Yeah.
Utterly superb. So that's coming up later. Also, just a reminder, we're recording this on Friday, January 26th. Happy belated
birthday.
Happy belated birthday to Chris, too, by the way. It was your birthday.
It was.
Happy birthday, Wayne Gretzky. But also, what is it? 26th, the 3rd, 4th, so 3 weeks. 3 weeks until we're back.
Madness.
Keep plugging this. Gallifrey 1. More than 6 years in the TARDIS. Second Akinola, Kevin John Davies, Annette Badland, Kevin McNally, Sean Dingwall, Jay Griffiths, all on stage. Not all at the same time, but the actors will all be there on one giant panel. Also, Chip will be there. Chip 2-Minute Time Lord. On stage for the first time in a while.
Yep.
So that's all to look forward to kick off Gallifrey 1. Just an aside, I think I saw on the Gallifrey 1 Facebook page that sometime on Saturday there will be an update to the the layout a little bit on the Gallifrey 1 homepage, which is in the future for us right now as we record this, but it's in the past for you. So go to gallifrey1.com for all the details and what's going to be announced with that. We of course will be doing our big Gallifrey 1 preview show in a couple weeks' time.
Oh, and just a reminder, because next week's episode, this will also have been in the past by then, but Coffee Clutch signups on the Saturday the 3rd at 12 Pacific.
Saturday the 3rd, which is my birthday.
It is.
My birthday. You do not need to sign me up for a Claffy Clatch for my birthday. Instead, I'm going to watch part 4 of Frontios, which went out on February 3rd, 1984.
So you've reached the self-hating part of your life.
Yeah, I know. It aired the same day I went to my first ever NHL game, February 3rd, 1984. So maybe I'll just watch that.
I have to say, the line... This throughout the Trump years, which may be coming back, who knows?
Oh boy!
The daily disaster that we call Frontios ran through my mind every day.
Frontios.
Are you saying Trump is a tractator?
I mean, he kind of looks like one, honestly. Put a wig on that thing, then yeah, maybe.
Didn't we see a tractator? Didn't we think we saw a tractator in the season 1?
That was actually Donald Trump in his final form. It's final form.
Yes, we did.
Speaking of season 1 of Doctor Who, let's talk about season 2 a little bit. Usually we don't do spoilers or set reports or anything like that. But last week we talked about what was then the breaking news, as that Millie Gibson was leaving Doctor Who partway through season 2, and then Varada Sethu is the new companion. This was broken by the Mirror. After we recorded, Variety confirmed it with their own independent stores. Variety being much more reputable when it comes to entertainment news and stuff.
Yep.
And then literally the next day, Varada Sethu seen shooting Doctor Who in Penarth, Wales. They're shooting it now. This is what I mean. We because it's like there's a lot of photos out there. She's there. She's wearing a dress because it's a period piece.
Those are both great outfits.
Bow tie.
Yeah. Yeah, Sudi Gat was in a bow tie, a little bit of. I think he's got a little bit long hair. I think his hair's a little more body to it.
A little more, yeah.
But yeah, there she is. Just like, and what mildly surprises me about this is that it's kind of like when Disney just sort of put out a screen graphic. Here's what's coming at Christmas, and like at the top was the name and the date that the Christmas special Church on Ruby Road was airing, and so the BBC just didn't bother acknowledging it and just released that info when they felt like it, like in early December. And it's almost like, well, if we can't announce it properly, then we're not going to announce it at all. And so like usually they announce like big casting changes before they go on location.
Yeah.
To shoot with them, and she's right there. She's right there. She is. The new companion, and like radio silence to the BBC. So that's what I found quite odd.
Unless there's some weird, massive misunderstanding going on, and she's just a guest person or something. I don't know. But
a lot of this can be explained by giant corporation or organization. In the case of the BBC, one hand doesn't know what the other is doing, and a third hand's over there doing something else.
Probably something with that semen there.
I think you'll find he's working in a diner.
Yeah, he looks like a how my girlfriend would kill me. There she is, his girlfriend that would kill him.
We are watching this. Yeah, if you're on YouTube, you can see the on-set photo. I don't want to go into too many details, but they were shooting at a diner.
Yeah, he looks the guy looks like a fry cook.
And he's wearing basically a location coat. This is not a scene from the actual episode. It's a scene from shooting it. So.
If it's a period piece, I'm sure he's not wearing a super dry jacket.
Exactly.
This is a time travel.
Whatever period this is.
Maybe that's the next Doctor. That's the 16th Doctor right there.
Fry cook. Or maybe the negative second Doctor. Maybe it's a pre-Hartnell Doctor. Who knows?
Yeah. It's like when Jodie Whittaker was in that weird mirror world where she had the coat turned inside out. Maybe that's what that is. Maybe that's her coat, except with the new lining.
Could be. So anyway, no official announcement from the BBC, which I still find very, very odd.
I'm wondering if we're going to come May or sometime in April. I wonder if we're going to have a repeat of Church on Ruby Road and have Disney Plus announce the start date to the
would not surprise me at
season.
I don't know. Well, there's a we didn't put this in the news list because it's some leaked info about Fortnite. But because we talked last year that there'd be a Doctor Who Fortnite crossover,
and there was
happening. It was building up, and then there was, but another one, I guess.
Okay, yeah.
And it built up, and then it says, "Oh no, we're scrapping it for now. It's going to be postponed to 2024." And I thought, well, that makes sense because if you're going to put Ncuti Gatwa in there or something like that, it's important to have him on screen first. And so now it's apparently coming out May the 4th.
Yeah,
which
for the Fortnite thing, not Doctor Who. Yeah.
No, well, yeah, for the Fortnite thing, but some people put 2 and 2 together and made 5 and says, oh, well, then May the 4th is going to be the premiere date for...
No. You can let this thing cook for a couple of weeks and then...
Exactly, yeah.
And many other things will probably at the same time be going out around the 4th just to start pimping Doctor Who.
Part of the thing, yeah, because you wouldn't want to drive like a key portion of your core audience to a video game while Doctor Who is airing its initial airing. So
unless it's only showing exclusively in Fortnite, which I very much please squash that rumor I just created inadvertently, please.
Right?
Wasn't there something like a movie premiere?
No, there was a concert. There's been a couple concerts.
Concerts? That's that what it was?
This is the worst possible group of 3 people to talk about Fortnite. What the hell do we know?
I know. We are almost very closely in one of us is in our 50s. Chris is 1 year off. I'll be 1 year off from my 50s in this time next week. So I know, right? Yeah, Fortnite. I downloaded just like the other one that basically whenever there's a Doctor Who tie-in, I'll download the game, play it for 15 minutes, and forget about it. Even though is it Fall Guys? That fun little game where
it is a fun game actually, but it's only fun if you're playing with a group. Like I play with a couple of D&D friends, and it's fun just because you get to yell at each other. Because I'm very bad at it. That's part of why.
Yeah, that was a goofy little game. I haven't opened it in months, but. It's fun. Anyway, Doctor Who. Okay, so big, crazy, big news, kids.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Character options announced in advance of the London Toy Fair, is what it's called. Toy Fair, Toy Convention. Fugitive Doctor and TARDIS set released. Not only did they announce that it's coming, it's it's available that day, basically.
Yeah. So news, I call it justice.
Yeah.
From what I saw on Facebook from a bunch of British friends, apparently there were many a website problem in trying to get it because demand.
I can tell you firsthand there was many website problems. Right. It was a disaster and a half.
Man, and because Warren, you ordered it, right?
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
So did Katie Beth Schmidt, friend of the show. So we were a friend of the show. So we were transferring back and forth the code we were getting, which was a mangled mess because neither of us could get it. And then finally she did, and then I did 2 seconds later. So yeah.
Yeah, it's the Fugitive Doctor. She's got a TARDIS of her own, which is kind of cool. It's slightly different. It's got a bit of a not quite a flat top like they have in season 17, but just a slightly raised one. And she's got her outfit on. Obviously, she's got the
gun.
She's got the gun. Somewhat.
Dismissive look on her face, I haven't got time for your nonsense.
Which is perfect.
Very unimpressed,
yeah. So so Warren, you paid through the nose from Canada.
I think it was about $100 when all said and done. But
wow, that's and Bookshelf Doctors is kind of on hiatus right now too. So
but I don't care. It's a doctor. Okay, so I have to have it.
Yeah.
And there's some debate. Probably as to where she sits in where you when you have all your doctors lined up. I'm like, clearly it's before Hartnell. Also, it's the easiest place to put on my shelf. So, but it's also canon. Damn it! So say I.
So is Russell T Davies too. He's he's sticking to it. So,
so I know for some of the doctors, Warren, you have more than one. How many?
Yeah, but I have.
How many TARDISes do you have?
Oh God, I don't even know. I got at least I got one that's on this. So the way it all shakes out is I used to have a ton of them on the shelf, and it was just unwieldy as hell. So I had a bin. Now I've still got a bin full of the guys, and but I basically said, okay, I'm going to have customs, and 3D printed stuff that Jeff Fink made for me, which is all great. Like he's made a Miniscope and he made a Fourth Doctor secondary control room TARDIS and a couple other things for me. The little scanner thing from Earthshock that the Cybermen have.
Oh, nice.
Stuff like that I have up there. I have customs like the Prisoner and the Cyber Brig that I got, which is, I think, of brilliance. But I have just all the Doctors up there primarily, right? And a TARDIS. And I've got a TARDIS that's actually just like a sort of a book stop in one of my shelves, just because there's probably one kicking around here somewhere. I don't know. Like I've got at least 3, and 2 of them are hiding. So I'll now have a 4th that I don't know what the hell I'll do with. But the important thing is the dolly, the $100 dolly.
It's my great hope that that perhaps one of the shops in the dealer's room at Gallifrey will lap some of these up and sell them there. But because
I fully expect that demand to be through the roof.
Oh, easy.
That's true.
Yeah. That's why I
wish you luck.
And I would probably be spending $100 a galley either way. So
so
I might as well spend it earlier.
Yeah.
And then get whatever other cool stuff there is at galley.
I wonder how long they'll be available at Character Options. If I could go to Gallifrey 1 and see if they are available, and if they're not, I could just order it from Character Options at that point. I don't know if that's going to be...
Well, they'll probably make another round of them.
They better.
Might.
And I guarantee, not guarantee because I have no knowledge of this, but Character Options likes to do variants, let's put it politely. so there's probably going to be a tour guide Ruth one because I got the head already. Why not?
Right. Flop it on. Do your worst. Yeah, that's sort of...
Well, the Character Options website doesn't say it's sold out or anything, so...
Now, can I get a Lego lighthouse with a chameleon arch in it? That's what
there is the Lego set. There is a Lego lighthouse set.
And also,
so you could warn.
$100 is nothing to a Legoist, as you've told me this. That's a direct quote from you. so the odd time I spend $100 on a dolly.
It's nothing. It's nothing.
Theoretically, it's going to get here, and it won't be a soap opera and a nightmare, and I won't clog our text feed full of complaints.
That's true. As Warren and as Chris and I keep doing. I noticed that some of our friends have gotten some friends in the U.S. have actually gotten their Blu-ray sets shipped for the series 1 through 13, the big mega set that's been delayed for weeks.
From BBC Shop?
From BBC Shop. And parts of it have been damaged as it's been showing up. So
it's a real thing, is what it is.
I got a lovely email survey from BBC Shop the other day saying, what do you think about this recent purchase of your Doctor Who Blu-ray set?
Well, let me tell you.
I did too. I did not. I just deleted
it. They don't want to hear from me.
No. Anyway, Dolly's Blu-ray sets. I just want to say thank you very much for your support on Patreon.com/Ready for Skaro.
Yes, indeed.
For filling our habits that we have a hard time to kick.
Well, stuff like that, I tend to use my own money, but
I actually did use my own money for this.
Anyway, the thanks stand.
Yes, absolutely. I'm not withdrawing thanks.
There was also the video of Al Dewar and Joe Martin.
There was.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, how cool is it to have an action figure yourself? Really, that's pretty rad.
I know. Yeah, it's there's a shot of it might have been you, Chris, sharing it in our chat in amongst the shipping delays and stuff of Millie Gibson with some custom Lego minifigs.
Yes,
anytime that someone has like a little miniature version of themselves to look at is kind of
Shurigawa. There was like the 2 of them that she had.
What? What are you talking about?
Yeah, she was holding 2 minifigs.
She was holding a little. She was holding a Ruby Sunday and a Doctor.
I totally did. I totally missed that. I scrubbed through it to look for screen grabs like the one you're looking at here, and totally missed that they actually had the Shurigawa and Ruby Sunday, which were not announced officially.
No. What I'm talking about is the picture of Millie Gibson with the minifigs. And she had 2 minifigs, one of which is her, one of which is Shurigawa, or the Doctor and Ruby Sunday.
Yeah. Yes. I thought you meant Joe Martin there. Okay.
No, not Joe Martin.
No. But I will say that at the London Toy Fair, like literally the next day after the announcement, images of other Doctor Who figures were taken. Now, some of these might be like not quite prototypes, but like not quite ready for market. There's like another one.
The statue they work off of or something. Yeah.
Yeah. There was one of Shurigawa's sonic screwdriver and it said like there's a card. I couldn't find the picture of it. It says something like, this is like, a working prototype or something like that. Like it's pretty much close to final release, but not quite yet. But we could show it off because it's the London Toy Fair apparently. But I mean, you look at the pictures. That is very much
those are fine looking dollies.
Warrior and Shurigawa and Ruby Sunday there, in their outfits from Church and Ruby Road. So that seems pretty much a given anyway. That was going to happen. But so that's something to look forward to in the future. I
wonder
well.
if the final figures will be as detailed, because these look very detailed for character options. So
they do, don't they?
So these might be the ones that they really that you go off of, and then you sort of I'm not say inferior, but like a less detailed version of it, so you can produce more of them, right? So
I don't. It's just the one photo from that person whose reflection you could see in the
who could have made this, taken this picture?
You could probably zapruder that if you wanted to, but so that's cool. That's cool. So there'll be another purchase in our near future, getting the Shurigawa toy. I will, because my rule is I only buy one Doctor figure. I broke that rule only slightly because the 14th Doctor came in a set with Regeneration Jodie with the scarf and all that. So I have two Jodie Whittaker ones, 13th Doctors, and I only have one TARDIS, so I'm gonna have to get a second TARDIS.
Well, the nice thing about this TARDIS is that there's a paper insert for the classic TARDIS inside it, because that's what hers looks like, right?
That's what hers looks like. Yeah, classic, neo-classic.
Sure, neo-classic.
Yeah, that one. So that'd be cool.
For your self-imposed policy, Stephen. So this is the first 14th Doctor action figure. So we've got the long orange, brown, whatever jacket.
Yeah.
15th Doctor, not 14th.
Given the sheer number of different outfits we've already seen, not to mention whatever we don't already know.
Right.
Number one, how many different 14th Doctor variants do you expect? And number two, are you going to break the rule as a result?
No. I can't. I can't break the rule.
What if we get 60s giant fro blue pinstripe? You can't not buy that. I mean, I'm going to buy that dolly for damn sure.
That's a good point.
Okay, let me rephrase that then.
All right.
Given all the costumes we have seen so far,
sure.
If there was a different 14th Doctor action dolly variant for each
15th,
outfit.
15th Doctor, right?
15th Doctor, sorry.
You've been saying 14th, right?
I did say 14th, sorry, 15th Doctor. For all the different Shurigawa outfits we've seen so far, if there's an action figure for each one, which one would you buy?
Action dolly.
I mean, the Ruby Road one seems to be like as close to an official outfit as you can kind of get, right?
Are we talking? The vest on the dance club, or are we talking the
coat, the coat with the shoe?
What'll be the official? And this is a dumb fan thing in the first place, but what'll be official is the one he wears the most, right?
Is there one
that
he
might
wears
be
the most?
Well, if there isn't, then there's an official, and then there's then I guess you go with the first one because it was the first one we saw him in, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything,
No, it really doesn't. The first one we saw him on was the one he never wore. He wore for a brief scene in Ruby Road with a hat on. He didn't even have a hat.
If you go with this rule of Capaldi, then Capaldi is like suit, which he kind of wore for a while there, but then it just got all over the map, right? So I mean, and I don't really feel like that's the official. That's the one he would show up in just to be fancy every now and again. But
yeah. I know I have my Capaldi one is like the very first release one, the season 8, series 8.
Yeah, same here.
The red coat kind of thing. And there've been at least one or two other variants that came out after that. One of the slightly more like series 9 kind of hair. Did a Hoodie Doctor one ever come out?
I don't remember what Hoodie one did, but I'm just saying in terms of the show itself, like officially, I would say kind of the Hoodie is probably the one, or the Velvet Jacket one too. I mean, it's a tough call.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have all the other Doctors I have post Matt Smith. I got in that set of 11 that came out that one time, and so like it's Tom Baker in like the Seeds of Doom outfit, which is not a common outfit when you think about it. He only wore it like for 4 or 5 different stories. So when you think about it, like there's actually Baker, despite the silhouette of having a scarf and the coat and everything, actually changed a great deal throughout his time on Doctor Who.
Really, the whole not changing was like Davison and Baker the second, I guess, and kind of McCoy, although he had a different colored coat at one point.
Yeah.
Mostly Troughton.
because of and Troughton too.
And
because,
Tennant was pretty most of the time the same outfit, more or less.
He had the blue or the and he would
Yeah.
change up the shirt, and that would be about it.
But again,
because
this is just fans
Reckless
making sure that everything is in an Excel spreadsheet. That's what we're doing. So
it would be tough to avoid getting a Shudigatwa action dolly from the Beatles episode.
come
where
on,
he's-
you got to get that. Like
I gotta get that.
definitely, if that comes out, I'll be very, very happy.
And if it comes with the wrong drum kit, even better, right?
Exactly.
Love that.
So you walked right into that, and I was going to mention: is there a 5.5-inch
Beetle.
scale Beetle kit with the proper damn drum set? And I would get that.
I can't
with
imagine
Shudigatwa.
for all the good work Character Options does, and they do. I can't imagine them ever having the money to have Beatles action figures.
Here's the funny thing. Here's the fun. Like, if let's say Character Options decided let's make an action playset from episode 2, The Devil's Chord, which apparently is what it's called, and it's probably the one with the Beatles in it. And Character Options decide let's make one of the Beatles, but then they look at it and go, well, we could be screen accurate and wrong, or not screen accurate and right, and make it the actual Mother of Pearl Ludwig kit that Ringo had at the time.
We're back at the drum set, aren't we?
Big decision. Big
Here's
decision.
the other
What do you
thing. If
do?
you've got a recording
That's Tom
studio-
Baker with the wires, man. That's Tom Baker. What do I have the right? Like, there's so much. Like the choice that he has to make.
If you have a
Or
recording
Turlo
studio,
at the end of Enlightenment with the thing. It just saw, Enlightenment wasn't the diamond. Enlightenment was the choice. The choice
they were,
that Character
they were
Options
all
would have
talking
to
about
make.
this drum kit in the future. That's what they were
Yeah.
doing.
This
But if
inaccurate
you-
drum kit.
If you
This
have
is
an Action
very-
Dolly drum set, you can put whoever you want in there. You could have all the Doctors as a band. You can do whatever you wanted to.
That's true. I could have Foghat. Doctor Who goes back in time and meets Foghat.
I could
And-
have Steely Dan in there, and then I could
Right.
have stormtroopers from Star Wars go in and kill them all because they need to be killed because Steely Dan sucks. But the stormtroopers say they'd miss, and
True.
shoot the
They
shoot the drum kit and it would catch on
They
fire
would,
and
they
get a
would
different one.
shoot the drum
See,
kit. and
thus
kill
preserving the
Billy Cobham or
continuity of the
something.
proper drum kit.
Yeah. Anyway.
Chris has fallen
sidestepped.
asleep defensively, I
Chris,
think.
Chris has sidestepped all of this. Just so you know, Chris, this bit that you and I go back and forth with the shipping details and stuff like that, this is what Warren ignores, whereas now you are ignoring.
Exactly. But
Yes.
to be
If you're
fair,
drinking my
you
Dr.
guys are
Pepper.
actually talking about a concrete thing in reality, whereas we're coming up with
That's true.
absolute bloody nonsense.
Yeah.
So
A world of concrete thing.
that's true.
in
Yes,
reality.
world of concrete.
Ooh,
Bring it
Hold
on.
on,
Call back.
hold on. Keep talking, and I'll get the badge.
Bringing it
So-
back. All right.
So your answer is the first one is the only one.
I probably will be. I'll probably get so impatient that I'll just get that first one, and then
There's a QR code for you kids. It probably doesn't work.
regret it. What is that? What if we scan that? What would happen?
You'd probably go to the World of Concrete website, or it would say you're not authorized to use this badge.
Okay.
Because
Well,
I was the
that's
only one
all right.
Put
authorized
the back
for
up,
it.
Warren.
Yeah.
What's that?
Put
Put it
the
back
badge
up.
back up.
There you go,
He's gonna
everybody.
scan it. He's going to scan it there, just so you know.
Does this even work? Let's find out.
It wants
Live
Audio
on air.
listeners,
No.
people
Once-
on audio, this is what you're missing by not watching us. on
QR
YouTube.
codes
Didn't
and
work. It wants to
nonsense.
focus on Warren's face instead.
I have a whole, I have all my nerd lanyards and badges off in the other room, and I have all my work stuff over here. So you can
Yeah.
even see it right there.
Look at that in the background there.
all I can say is none of us are drunk, and it kind of seems like we are.
But we're sure. Well, I'm sleep drunk. So,
Friday
Punch-
night
punch
recordings,
drunk, maybe.
everyone.
yeah, I'm definitely punch drunk. And not
Michael
in love.
Michael Ferguson in Miniscope coming up later. I just want to point that out. It's coming.
Yes.
It's coming down the pipe, kids. Just got some more stuff to get through before we do that.
Yep.
In the UK only, The Church on Ruby Road will be available on DVD and Blu-ray on February 12th.
Right before
Know that.
Gallifrey.
Right before Gallifrey, they even put up the
Yeah.
new thing. It's just the basic generic artwork. I thought they would just put the title that's on the novelization on there, but I guess they didn't. That's the official final artwork, the one where Shudigat was going like surfing on some time waves and holding up the Doctor
It looks
Who
pretty
logo.
cool. He just looks
It
cool
does.
as hell doing that. So
It does. Looks pretty damn cool. So,
Yep.
so that's cool. So February 12th. I know that some people have been asking when are these things going to come out in the North America. 2026. Seriously, because Steve Manfred informed us in the chat during one of our live streams, and Steve Manfred's pretty plugged in when it comes to DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff like that, is that Disney has, I think, basically like a year or something before they even think about putting out physical media on after it's been on Disney Plus. Like they're only putting out season one and 2 of The Mandalorian, and I think season 1 of Loki came out this past holiday season. So yeah, I'm not expecting to see North American Doctor Who releases for quite some time.
Just to continue with the punch drunk idiocy,
Sure.
I think that eventually 2026, when that comes out, the punishing tariffs that a second Trump term has put in, that Doctor Who, Blu-ray will be worth about $400. So that will cause the downfall of the second Trump term. That particular Blu-ray,
okay,
Church on Ruby Road.
Oh, then it actually works out.
Of course, it's a force for justice.
Oh, that's a good thing. Speaking of Church on Ruby Road, you can read an exclusive excerpt of the novelization on the BBC website. It's like 4 paragraphs. That's all. Like, it's tiny bit of thing. But
they've taken the word excerpt to heart.
They really have. But it had a nice little photo. See, that's the photo that I would expect to see on the front of the Blu-ray. But that's fine. Everything works out. You can talk to the author in person at Gallifrey 1.
I think my pedantic mind doesn't like that the words Doctor and Who are not the same height.
Well, the border around the Who makes it bigger.
Yeah, but
it's like one of those, those little optical illusions where there's a horizontal line.
It also stands out. Like, otherwise, all the text more or less looks the same, right? So.
Yeah,
is it the same size though? Because I mean, you look at the Owen Who and the Owen Doctor. Owen Who looks a little bigger.
It is. I think you're right, Chris. It does.
Yeah,
but it could be that illusion, as you say. I don't know.
No, because it's just taking the logo from Doctor Who.
Well, I know if it was
putting it
up and down like it is there on the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
But side by side, just
vertically. You mean as opposed to horizontal? Yeah.
Anyway, novelization coming out in whatever that time is. You can read it now. The novelization is out now. I think only the hardcover. I think the other versions are coming later on, as is often the case in book world, apparently, Warren. When people buy books, you have to buy the hardcover first and then
that's a
pony up for the paperback or
get the
Kindle
ebook
edition later.
One of the two.
Yeah. Well, sometimes the ebook isn't even out. Like this one, the ebook isn't out for Church on Ruby Road. It's only available as a hardcover. So. Doctor Who 2024 Doctor Who Yearbook is out now. I don't list. This dropped on Thursday, which is yesterday as we record this. So I got the notification, but I think I have to pay extra for this. It's not part of your standard DWM subscription.
No,
but
it's definitely extra. Yeah,
it's definitely extra. So
I think I said this last week, but I've gotten so used to Andrew Mark Thompson's shenanigans that I see this and I don't believe it. I immediately assume he's behind this.
I know.
I start looking for poorly spelled things on purpose and what have you.
Well, I want to point out that's something that jumped out at me, and this is the tricky thing when putting words in a certain order on a page like this, is that I see we reflect on an unforgettable anniversary. Sounds fine, right? But the way it looks, it says and then it looks like regrettable. It looks like regrettable anniversary. My eye is drawn to that. So
that sounds like we regrettable anniversary. Like somebody at the docks who's like talking to Doctor Who. Oh, we regrettable anniversary.
The regret, which is on the next Radio Free Scar, we determine which is the most regrettable anniversary.
The 40th. Easy.
30th.
Oh yeah, which is the one with the anorak thing.
Dimensions in Time. No, Dimensions in Time was 92. I mean,
Resistance is Useless or whatever.
Is 92.
Yeah, that's the 30th.
But Dimensions in Time was the 30th.
Okay, then 30th. You're right. Yeah,
it was pre-30th.
So there you go. Just a couple of Big Finish stuff that's coming down the pipe. Big Finish Torchwood Sabotage with Ace is due next month. With Sophie Aldred and our third go through, meeting up with the Torchwood folks in a thing written by James Goss. That's happening. And then Big Finish Torchwood 1, I Hate Mondays, which we don't even have a cover for yet, though. But there's Gareth Lloyd, David Lloyd, Tracy Ann Oberman, and Tim Bentic, who is who I know as Cliff Lawton from the very first scene in the very first episode of The Thick of It. He's also the body double for Tom Baker in Shada from 2017. Wow. So there you go. There's your little inside info.
Why isn't Garfield part of this one? He also hates Mondays.
So does the Boomtown Rats.
That's true, they do. Tell me why.
Well, I don't remember the rest of the song, so I can't begin to tell you. But apparently they hate them enough that they started Live Aid in 1985.
Fair enough.
So
One thing for the Sabotage one, I like that the cover art has Ace as Sophie Aldred looks now.
Mhm.
That's true. Yeah, current day.
versus,
So I guess
versus a
presumably
lot
set
of
now, yeah.
versus a lot of Big Finish having like Nicola Bryant from the 80s or
Well, I mean, it
Or
depends on which like when they're trying to set it. Yeah.
Yes.
This,
Yeah.
It's interesting that this looks like it's set now. So
Yeah.
at first I thought that this other guy, Paul Clayton, was like a very aged Jack Harkness, but I was because he's got the code, like, and he kind of looks as if he squint hard enough, like a little bit. Like,
Maybe it is.
Yeah.
It's not like John Barrowman's doing much.
theoretically,
With it
that
tortured right now.
Jack Harkness could regenerate. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe this is like him on his way to becoming the face of Bo.
Yeah,
perhaps. Possibly. All right. Hope you enjoyed that news and banter on a Friday night as we get all punchy and stuff. But hey, speaking of punchy, it's time to talk about Michael Ferguson in the Miniscope.
Just as I thought. A Miniscope. Now this is outrageous. Who is responsible for this device?
Welcome back to the Miniscope, everyone. Part 2 of our 2-part Miniscope of Doctor Who director Michael Ferguson, who directed 4 stories, 2 of which we talked about last time, The War Machines and The Seeds of Death. This time, we get to talk about The Ambassadors of Death and the Claws of Axos. Yes. I am looking forward to talking about these 2 stories. I can't remember who I watched them both because of course I did. Why wouldn't I? I took no notes because I didn't need to. I love these so much. Who watched Ambassadors? We're kicking off with that one. Who watched that one?
That was me.
What'd you think about it? And you better say it's the greatest John Pertwee story ever made.
Is it called Inferno? Then I guess you're wrong.
Yeah.
I've long considered Ambassadors my favorite season 7 story.
It's so great, everyone. It's so great. Why do you think it's so great? It's the direction, right? For me, it's partly the direction. Actually, it's a lot of the direction is why I like this story so much.
The direction's definitely a factor. There's no question about that. But I mean, on top of that, it's Cyril Shaps, it's John Emineri, it's
all the Doctor Who alum, the royalty. Let's face it, are out this one. Yeah, Michael Wisher's in there.
Michael Wisher's in there.
Yeah,
I was always a fan of the ambassadors themselves, and like just the touch something and it dies or explodes or
right.
As whatever as the needs arise, and Liz gets some stuff to chew on.
Yep.
Maybe not as much as Silurians, but she got some stuff to chew on. And Brigadier's badass in this. And I don't know, I just always liked it. Just always been a favorite.
Mm-hmm. Did you take any notes? Do you have any talking points you want to bring up for this one?
I did. I honestly it's weird. I took fewer notes for a 7-parter than I did for a 4-parter with War Machines.
Right, because you're probably flagging at that time. Whatever. General things.
Well, that and just sitting back and enjoying the story.
Yeah.
Like, just the first thing I'll say about Ambassadors of Death is, it's 7 parts, as were 2 other stories in that season. Mm-hmm. But it's a 7-episode story, and the thing frickin' flies by.
So great.
Like, it does not feel remotely like a 7-parter. Like, I'll sit down, I start episode whatever, and within like the blink of an eyelid, it's the cliffhanger toward the next episode, and it just screams past you, and it's just, just the performances, the direction, everything is just top notch, really.
Yeah,
you're a fan, I know.
I'm such a fan. I'm such a fan of this story.
You still put Inferno over this for season 7.
Oh,
right?
man. The fact that, it's a testament to both stories that there's even a debate, because you watch Inferno and you go, well, this might be the greatest Doctor Who story from the 1970s. And then there's the Ambassadors of Death, which might be as good as Inferno. It's kind of like, to me, if to throw in a hockey reference, it's like, well, we have Connor McDavid, who's the greatest player in the world, but we also have Leon Draisaitl, who's the best player in the league, because it just feels wrong to say that, but it's also true. How can 2 things be the best at the same time, yet entirely different? You have Inferno and the Ambassadors of Death. Gosh, season 7 is great. It's so great. I love it to bits. It was too beautiful to live. It's one short season of action and adult themes, and it just feels like Doctor Who grown up a little bit. It's probably why a lot of us liked Star Wars Andor, because it just felt like it had aged with the audience, and it feels like this was Doctor Who sort of, reaching the audience that had grown up with it, and this is where they wanted to be. I love yeah, go ahead.
We'll agree to disagree with the Andor comparison.
I know.
But,
that's why I said a lot of us. Yeah.
This is the season that saved the show as well. So it definitely delivered.
It did deliver. It delivered. I mean, good. I can start at the very beginning of this episode, where it's Michael Ferguson's adjustment of the title sequence. It's something that honestly should have kept going through the entire run of Doctor Who, where he fades down after the ambassadors it says Doctor Who, and it fades down, and you have the opening part of the show, or the reprise into the cliffhanger, and then it crashes in the ambassadors, of death, and it's just like it's so great, it's so exciting, it's just so 70s. And I remember when I saw that as a kid, I'm thinking, yes, this is amazing. Something took off from Mars. Yeah, that's the first time we hear the big cliffhanger sting in Doctor Who. It's never been that way before. It's so exciting. It's just, and we haven't even started the story. We haven't even seen the Doctor yet, and there's this great scene from shot across radio communication with Ralph Cornish and the astronaut there in the space shuttle. It's very evocative of what was going on at the time. You'd see these the NASA missions, the NASA moon missions we'd be seeing on TV, and it just sort of sounds and looks like very, very similar to it. It's just very evocative and exciting and mysterious, and it's great. Anyway,
yeah, nothing to do with Ferguson as such, but just doing a little side reading, and apparently there's some Big Finish, I think it is, a Paul McGann story where there's like Ralph Cornish comes back. So Ralph Cornish is the director of the British Space Command, British Space Institute.
Oh, really?
Whatever it is.
Okay.
So he comes back for Mars Probe 13, I think is what I said. Turns out he's got a boyfriend. And also he got his start in the British Rocket Group. So there's this like expansion of his character out well beyond ambassadors.
Well, apparently now I know I talked to Toby Haydock a few weeks back about Quatermass in the Pit. Apparently one of the other Quatermasses, don't at me, I'll watch them eventually along with Quiller and everything else we'll get to. But apparently one of the other Quatermasses, I think it might be Quatermass 2, is very Ambassadors of Death is very heavily indebted to the plot line of that, apparently, with something returning from outer space and the astronauts not being quite what they seemed. So there are some definite connections there.
Yeah, I don't think that's that uncommon of a trope.
No, that's true. But Quatermass was one of the first to do it, so good job them. The Brigadiers. Go ahead. Yep.
I was going to say you talked about Brian Hales. Apparently, David Whittaker, who's credited for this, didn't really do as much as is led to think.
Not as much. Mostly Malcolm Hulke, who finished more or less finished this. So yeah.
And Trevor Ray, apparently.
Trevor Ray, the assistant script editor. Yeah. Trevor Ray is one as a person I think needs to have a documentary about him being made for the season 7 box set, because he had a pretty big hand in things towards the end of season 6 and then into season 7. I think he helped Terrence Dicks sort of establish things. He became basically the script editor late in season 6 when Terrence Dicks was the assistant script editor, but then had to basically rework and then rewrite all of the war games at the very end. Anyway, Trevor Ray, Chris Chapman, get on that. Let's get a thing. Maybe Toby Haydock can say, where is Trevor Ray? And it'll just do a whole search of where he is. And he's probably just down the street. And I just say, I've always been here, actually.
I'll drop Russell Mint in the line.
Yeah, thank you. There's the first element of this type of thing, which I really love, is the sort of the dual zooms is what Ferguson sort of does, where there's sometimes there'll be, he'll zoom into one thing while he's zooming into another thing, and they'll just cut back and forth. And that sort of happens in this. I also love when he goes, control, recovery 7, this is control. Do you read me? They zoom in on one angle to Ralph Cornish saying that. Then they cut to another camera. Control to recovery 7, do you read me? Zoom in at another one. And then the next shot is zooming out from the doctor's face, who has just been watching all this on TV. It's a wonderful transition using zoom lenses. I miss zoom lenses. Michael Ferguson loves zoom lenses.
He sure does.
This might be the best story for them. So there we go. We're about, 10 minutes in, and I've talked probably for longer than the actual episode has been so far. But love the Ambassadors of Death.
Yeah, I like you're talking about the Charlie the astronaut stuff. Like, there's just like the camera's just placed in a bajillion different places.
Yeah.
For that conversation as well, which I talked last week about just the position and movement of the camera inside the Wotan computer room, and just how that made things feel bigger than they were, and kind of got that same feeling with the astronaut thing, and also. Just from a technical standpoint, I don't know what was done with it, but just the giant ass like blue translucent blue thing that was the video screen,
like the screens, yeah,
like I'm sure that was superimposed. I don't think that technology existed to not have it superimposed.
That was your basic. There was one smaller screen. Basically, it was like a gauze. I think is what it was. It was like a blue gauze, and if you lit it properly, it would be blue, and therefore you could do CSO, which is very early days of CSO, and you could put it up there. And then there's a little view screen which popped up whenever, like I think Totalian popped up once there, and Ralph Cornish was talking to him. And you could kind of see it. It's like a Venetian blind kind of thing where it goes up and then it just sort of flips down, and it's blue. It's painted blue on it, and then you could just put a screen on that and it goes back down again. Again, this is the worst nightmare of today is video screens that can just pop up and you can have video calls whenever you want. No one wants that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Which we talked about last time. So there's that and too. Yeah.
And your reference to the angles and the close-ups and whatever. Close-ups, like damn, close-up city in this one as well, especially with all the rocket communication, whether it's Charlie or whether it's the doctor later on in the story, and whichever, I don't know what her was, that the lady that was at Rocket Space Command,
right?
Like just so many close-ups on her and so many close-ups on Cornish.
Yeah. Well, it's good. It looks good. I like, people like seeing people talk, but also it's a great way of disguising that, people had a good idea what Cape Kennedy looked like and, mission control for NASA missions, and how there's just people in short sleeve white shirts, smoking cigarettes, and just in front of banks and rows of computers.
Yeah,
and
they
know
got like 2 of them.
Yeah, they know they couldn't do that. And so they avoided, like, sometimes you could hear, basically Cornish is in the control room, but the actual control room with all the people in the banks and computers is somewhere else, as we see basically through a speaker. It all comes through an audio speaker. That's a very economical way of saying all that stuff's off in another room, which we're not showing you right now. We're just showing you Ralph Cornish, which is smart, I think, when you're doing a BBC budget, There's also there's some great establishing shots at the very beginning, at the very end of the story, where it's kind of like a glass shot, early CSO. Basically, they've CSO'd the top of the roof, the ceiling of this massive space center up above the establishing shot of the thing. Like that's all done with CSO, like tasteful CSO. Who would have thunk in the very, very early days?
Well, I won't be talking about tasteful CSO.
I warned that I will counter with you, but yeah, it's pretty psychedelic in Claws of Access. But the early days, he was very eager to try CSO. Was Michael Ferguson? They even had a experimental session 2 or 3 weeks before location filming, just to test some of the stuff with CSO. Remember, this is brand new. They used it for a very short couple sequences in Doctor Who and the Silurians, but this is its first proper outing, I think. And I think Claws of Axos is its real artistic outing. It gets overused a lot in Terror of the Autons, but I don't think very artistically. I think it's there to basically just sub in for not building sets. But I think Michael Ferguson really uses CSO very artistically a lot, and those are a couple incidents of it there.
Yeah.
You have anything else? I feel like I just wax on about Ambassadors for 2.5 hours here, and I don't want to do that. So, Chris, please.
Well, this is also because you've got Max Faulkner and Derek Ware and Royce Gamble and
right.
the guys. Is this the first Havoc-ish thing, or was that Silurians?
Is it? That's a good question. When is Havoc first credited as action by Havoc? I don't know if they're credited.
They're not credited as that as such. I don't think. But just even that's a prototypical collection of
stunt guys,
Havoc folks.
Yeah. Yeah, well, sure. I mean, the warehouse fight in episode 1, boy, oh boy, where the Brigadier is awesome in it. It's like very much shot like a Western, like a spaghetti Western towards the end there with the competing close-ups, and like there's a shot, my favorite shot, where the Brigadier just walks in, stands, shoots a guy who jumps and falls off of a staircase. Boom, boom, just 3 quick shots of the stunt fall. It's so great.
Well, I made a little note about even just the as the unit troops like deploy into the warehouse, the camera's right there just following them for the journey, which it's great. Some movement, some action, but yeah, talking about, like I said, the Brigadier is a bit of a badass. You got that later on in episode 7 before the doctor is rescued. The Brigadier basically like cleans the clock of those goons.
Yeah.
And then in the building where the doctor is being held, there's the dude running up the stairs. Door flies open. The Brigadier just shoots the guy twice. Yeah. He falls down the stairs.
Half joint.
It's like just badass Brig.
It's so good. It might be the best Brigadier story. Let's face it. He feels like he's on his own agenda. He doesn't need to sort of like need the doctor's help as much. Like he's very much doing his own thing, and like I love that scene. This is not so much Ferguson.
Even at the start of the story, the Brigadier's there at Space Command. The Doctor is nowhere to be seen. Yeah. The Doctor turns the TV on. He's like, "Why is Lethbridge Stewart there?"
Yeah, he's wondering. He's going off on his own. There's a great scene where, after a few mix-ups have happened, and Ralph Cornish kind of says, "Oh, you haven't done very much, Brigadier," and then he sort of says, "Here's what we did." He feels bad about it, but here's what we tried to do and everything like that. And Cornish sort of sheepishly goes, "I'm sorry, you've done a lot." And then Brigadier goes, "Yeah, it hasn't seemed to got me anywhere." I love that scene because he outlines how much the Brigadier has actually done, but yet they're still in the pickle that they are. Such a good Brig story. Such a good Brig story. Gosh,
apparently,
what else?
Apparently, Jeffrey Beavers is in this as well.
He
I don't know
is.
if this is his first Doctor Who or not, but
it's his first.
Jeffrey Beavers, husband of Carol and John.
Carol and John shows up in episode 7. I think the character that became Benton was supposed to be someone else, but then they thought, wait a minute, why don't we bring back Benton? Because this is his first proper Doctor Who story after the invasion, so he becomes a unit regular after this too. What else? What else in this silly thing? I mean, it was Michael Ferguson that turned the hijack sequence where they steal the Mars Probe 7 from a very quick little thing with a couple motorbikes and some ray guns that look like hair dryers into like helicopters dropping bombs and explosions everywhere and everything else. I mean, Doctor Who has so rarely looked this big budget, and of course they get it back to space control and everything. And honestly, this is where direction comes in, because if you were to say, here's what the cliffhanger for episode 3 is, it's the capsule is back in the lab, the door is closed, locked from the inside, and they try to contact them. Oh wow, we contacted them. Recovery, control to Recovery 7. Do you read me? And they go, yes, we read you. Open the doors for you. We're prepared for entry. And they go all that. And then all of a sudden, wait a second, let's go there. And they go right to up top. How many beans make 5? What's the capital of Australia? Discovery 7. Right, cut it open. Bam. That's the cliffhanger. If any other director would have done that, I think it would have been limp and dumb. But he just makes that so pacey and so great, and just cuts in with the cliffhanger scream at just the right time after the doctor says, right, cut it open. And that's a cliffhanger. It makes no sense, but you watch it and it's brilliant. I love that cliffhanger.
You mentioned CSO stuff, and this is a story that in the wrong hands could have been very CSO heavy.
Yep.
And not for its benefit, but all we really see of that really is when the doctor's on the alien spaceship, like go toward the light kind of thing.
Yeah.
Before he meets up with the astronauts who think they're in quarantine. So yeah, very, very judicious use of it, and what little there was, it looked kind of silly. But a lot of CSO does, but it was fine.
Yeah, but it was abstract, kind of like in Claws of Axos too. Like it's an alien ship, and so it shouldn't be like, oh, it's just like spangly.
It shouldn't be familiar or recognizable.
Yeah, and so it kind of works for that, and that kind of adds to the appeal, honestly, where it's kind of a little bit trippy when it comes to an alien spaceship. Anyway, Warren, I know you didn't watch this one. Do you have any?
I'll just finish off with my last couple of notes here.
Sure.
We'll throw to Warren. Episode 4, there's a bit where the camera's low and there's an ambassador kind of like walking toward the camera, and Max Faulkner is there shooting at it.
Yeah.
And there's just these massive lens flares just coming out.
Yeah.
With the shot, and it's almost like it's, I don't know, golden hour shooting or something, but it just looked beautiful.
Similar shot as in Seeds of Death when the Ice Warrior is walking with the sun in the background, so that you're just seeing the silhouette of that creature coming to the background as it advances. Very effective stuff. Yeah.
And then when the Brigadier is fighting with the goons, and near the end of episode 7, his handheld camera just kind of following him as he goes through and knocks the guy down the cliff.
Yeah.
Just you're right there. You're right there in the action with that shot.
Yeah.
And last thing was just at the very, very, very end of the story. There's a bit where the ambassadors kind of move more into frame. We've got the Doctor and I think it's Cornish a bit in the background a little bit, but you have the ambassadors with their backs to the camera, and it's just really, really, I'm not going to say it's clumsy blocking because obviously it was purposeful, but it didn't really work that well in my book.
He does that a couple times, doesn't he? He does that in Jamie and Zoe and Seeds of Death do it a bit too there, yeah.
Yep, or the lamp in Dodo's face in War Machines.
Yeah.
And then you kind of alluded to it, but the glass shot, the long glass shot at the end of the episode altogether where the Doctor's walking off, it creates this kind of like a distance between the viewer and the cast and the action. Just this nice little close to things, this finality to things.
Yeah.
And it just looks really great.
It does. Warren, you didn't watch this especially for the Miniscope, but
you're gonna hate me for this, but I've just never cared about the Ambassadors of Death. It's never grabbed me the way it did either of you. It's not bad or anything. It's just kind of there for me, and I apologize, but that's just, I can't lie to you about it.
That's fine.
You're allowed to be wrong. It's okay.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine.
Fair enough. Ashoka.
It's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I hesitate to say this because I know this is not the kind of thing you take well, Warren, but maybe it's time. Maybe it's time to watch it and reappraise.
There you go.
You're right. I don't take that well. So I'm going to ignore that advice.
Yeah. You're going to take that as a personal slight, Warren, is what you're going to do.
I say that, and I was not looking forward to Seeds of Death, and I kind of liked Seeds of Death after I watched it.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
I adore Seeds of Death.
Yeah. Oh, Ambassador's such a good unit story. William Dysart as Regan is one of the great thug, sort of the
baddies.
right-hand men, just like he's in it for himself, and like even at the end there where they shoot him in the wrist and stuff like this, and after they catch him and everything, and then he's the one that suggests, why don't you use them to break in? Because he's got nothing left to lose. I don't care about General Carrington anymore.
Don't forget who told you about this idea.
Forget who told you.
and
so
just
great.
to go back to the brig for a quick second, when the brig shoots the guy, falls down the stairs, and Regan pulls up his gun to shoot, and the brig just boom and just shoots it right like that. What aim?
Rampant competence.
right in the wrist.
It's ridiculous
And
how
in his-
competent he is
in
at
the
this.
gun hand wrist, no less.
Yeah. Oh, man. Reappraise it, Warren. I beg of you. I don't
All
beg.
right, fine.
I suggest. All right. It's
Maybe I will. We'll see.
Yeah.
It's 7 episodes, but yeah, it does. It just flies. It
clipped.
really just flies.
once again
I
I
tried
watched
to watch
it
it
all
a while
go.
back, and it just didn't take for whatever
Yeah.
reason.
Oh, I've just always adored it. It's just been so full of
Sounds
stuff.
like me and Invisible Enemy yelling about how good it is,
A little
even though
bit.
it isn't.
Yeah, a little bit.
then-
I think people do kind of get, past. I mean, you can kind of see the joins a little bit in between, the Whittaker written episodes and where Malcolm Hulke had to sort of steer it into port, so to speak. But production wise, it's superb film sequences. The chase scenes where they're running up along the causeway or the dam there. There's a chase there. Obviously, we've talked about the battle scenes. I know that's maybe not some people's favorite things, but they're really well made. The stuff, the rocket
even
stuff,
just the-
yeah.
Even the bit on the whatever across the water where Liz almost falls in.
Yeah,
Even that's just shot. It just looks great.
does. Really does. Ambassadors of Death. We could go on. Have we done a commentary for that? I feel like we might have probably already done a commentary.
I
don't think we have.
I'll double check,
No.
but I don't believe so.
Man, well, that's got to be rectified. We got to watch the Ambassador. Even if we have, let's just do another one. Let's do two Ambassadors of Death commentaries.
We've done Inferno and nothing else for season 7 apparently.
My
That's surprising.
God, that's tragic. That is tragic. Well,
One day.
one day we'll get there. Plenty of stories. All right. Claws of Axos, the last one of Michael Ferguson's Doctor Who career. We will talk about now. Warren watched that one and it's
I sure
psychedelic color glory, Warren.
I had forgotten just how bananas this was.
Mm-hmm.
So at the start, you got Pigman Josh, which we always make fun of. And I'm like, this seems really incongruous for Doctor Who. And then I was like, oh no, this is actually pretty normal compared to the rest of what we got coming on.
Right.
So I think I wrote down here in the first part, mind reading scenes go hard, kaleidoscope, Marilyn, weird psychedelic pictures, and then we get to the normal part, which is a CSO festival. Like just from the jump, this is like, look what we can, like. There's so much VFX in this, and I'm kind of impressed. Like you said, the whole thing with, like, I was reminded of Planet of Evil and how cool that jungle looks, and you've kind of got an inside Planet of Evil inside the Axos ship. I'm going to talk about the things that are kind of normal about this. I guess the Master is, because he just kind of shows up and is kind of the villain here, sort of.
Yeah.
Mr. Chin is the real villain, and he's this beacon of normality in that he's a total jerk, and there's a reason we all go Mr. Chin when we think of the Ministry, because this guy, I don't remember the actor's name, you will, I'm
Britain
sure.
for the British.
Peter
Yeah,
Bathurst, Warren Peter Bathurst.
Absolutely perfect as this pencil-pushing jerk
Yeah.
who doesn't have an arc. He's the same jerk at the beginning and the end, and then in episode 4, there's one of these live monitor things that Ferguson likes so much, and an even bigger jerk shows up who looks like he's an Undertaker, who just berates him. I was like, oh, this is just getting better and better.
And
So,
is,
yeah,
is,
most. Sorry,
is
go ahead.
Bill Filer normal or psychedelic to you?
Oh, he's normal, but he's in psychedelic situations. I want to point out something about this is a personal anecdote. So, when I was at NATE in the 90s, we had this whole thing where whoever wrote the best script got to make the final short, and so I wrote allegedly the best script according to everybody else.
Right.
And it was like this silly comedy about two cops, renegade cops on the lam, and there's other not good cop, but like the law-abiding cop is following them. And so I deliberately, as you do when you're a quote-unquote young director, stole a shot from Claws of Axos of Bill Filer driving and getting increasingly frustrated. So one of the actors in my thing is doing exactly that. And I tried to explain to what it was from, and nobody cared. I'm like, all right, whatever. It's my own private Claws of Axos tribute shot,
Right.
which is in there. We also did a shot of the thing from above with the Star Trek. We used the Star Trek music for fighting. And for one shot, we subbed in all the women from our class in the same costumes for the guys who were fighting. Nobody noticed. We did a better job than Star Trek, and we were idiots at NATE. Anyway, that's besides the point.
Right.
What I love about this is just not only is it insane, but also he's not scared of VFX, and he does a really good job. Like, there's a whole thing where the axons show the frog going up and down, or as I put it here, they give the gift of CSO scaling up and down. But when you think about it, that ain't easy in 1970, whatever this is, 1972, 73?
1970.
So-
They made this in early
70,
early 1970s when they made this. So
Like, it's ambitious, and even though it's psychedelic and doesn't make a whole
71.
lot of sense, most of the effects for what they are pull themselves off, right? So
yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Besides that, let's see. The absorption sequence is kind of disturbing, even though it's mostly green flashes. The thing where Filer gets duplicated is really freaky, where he's just standing there and then another dissolve of him, because it's presumably a still image of him or whatever, and then he walks out from himself. I'm like, that's actually really freaky looking. What the hell? Like, there's great stuff like that. There's a whole thing at the end. Like, by the end, it goes completely crazy, where they've got different Axon heads floating around, and the ship itself, and like, I don't know how they're doing half this stuff, but it's just lunacy. And so I wrote down on episode 4 where it goes full tilt. I pity anyone who got back from the pub, settled into their easy chair, fired up the old Magpie electrical, and got this. It's like, what is happening?
It's crazy. And that scene they're talking about where the Doctor and Joe are trying to escape Axos, the ship. And that's all 5 cameras in action at once. There's probably, one shot of obviously the Doctor and Joe running out, yelling math equations at each other to keep themselves from going mad. There's probably at least 2 more with like the camera shooting basically like psychedelic oil stuff on camera, and that's being superimposed. And then probably another 2 cameras which are basically shooting the 2 heads of Bernard Hawley and someone else, the other Axon, going around. All that's done live. All that is not done in post-production. All that is queued up live. This story above all is, I think, of the 4 that we're talking about in the Ferguson Miniscope, really just illustrates how amazingly technical and tricky multicam studio production was at the time. I remember
the
Russell
he's pulling off here is pretty crazy when you think about it.
It's astounding. Russell T Davies once said, when he was his first run of showrunning as Doctor Who, but in his book, A Writer's Tale, about how if he was called to direct a Doctor Who episode now, he could probably muddle through, because he could just say, okay, tell me what to do. We could probably put a camera here. Yes. Okay. We could put a camera here for the next one. Okay. They basically shoot it one, they move the camera, shoot the scene, move the camera to another one, shoot the scene again from a different angle, get close-ups and stuff. You get coverage, you sort it out in editing. Well, in multicam, in live stuff, which is kind of, this is basically made as live, you are doing all your cuts as live. It's what's really great. This is also the earliest example of raw studio footage, which of course is my favorite thing, and like a large chunk of the first episode is existing, and so you can see they mess up a few times. They have to do a couple retakes of it, but there's a great scene where Chin is reading the top secret document. He's reading it. We'll say on camera 1 or something like that. We cut to a longer shot of the Brigadier sort of looking smugly there because he's thinking the Chin is trying to find something in there. We cut back to Chin again, slightly pushed in. We cut right back within seconds, not even seconds, to the Brigadier. That camera has now zoomed in. We cut back to Chin again, and they walk up, and they sort of begin the scene from that point. That's all done. Boom, boom, boom. So basically, once that camera is off, he knows he's off, he's zooming into his next shot. I think later on in episode 1, it's madness, where Windsor and the other guy, Hardiman, from the power plant, they all meet the Doctor and Joe and the Brigadier in their little mobile van, HQ, right? And they come in, and there's like, if you look at the shooting script, which is on the Blu-ray, there is just a line. It's just a solid. Every time you hit enter, there's a line underneath, which means they're changing camera shot. And it's boom, 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 boom. Like basically they come in. Who's the Doctor? He looks at him. This is Windsor. Nod there. Go to this person there, up there. Reaction shot, reaction shot, reaction shot. That's all done live. And when you think about it, it's not the director at that point isn't going, what he'll do is if you were to listen to a director cut a live thing together, he would go ready two, like that, basically. And then the switcher would be the one to do that. Ready 2 means they're readying camera 2 in the preview window. Hitting take, camera 2 is now on air. The production assistant is the one calling out these shots, but the switcher, they're happening so quick that they're basically like, 2, 3, too. You know,
He's
I
playing
don't
piano
know.
at that point.
He's
Yeah.
playing piano. I don't know how he's doing it. And then, you know, plus there's the other ones where like we see in the Ambassadors of Death when the signal comes in and there's just massive like just cut back and forth between two shots really, really quick. There's that, which is pretty extreme. But then there's this one where you're actually trying to tell a coherent scene with close-ups and stuff. It's remarkable. And that's the type of, you know, the crew has to sort of be on board with what the director is doing, and the director has to sort of instill confidence in the team to be able to do something like that. It's amazing, quite frankly. It's an amazing technical achievement to shoot a random scene like that with as many cuts between cameras when you're doing them live. I think it's remarkable. This is why I love watching classic multicam TV, because of the technical achievement that's involved.
I don't know how great the story is, to be honest with you. It's, you know, it's kind of middling, frankly.
Right.
But all this other stuff that you could just geek out on this forever, because it is nuts, absolutely nuts. There's also little bits and pieces like the giant eyeball. I wrote down, how is anyone taking this seriously? Like, of all the ridiculous stuff here, this is the most ridiculous.
Right.
Tim Pickett-Smith is in this.
Yeah.
You barely noticed.
First
The
TV
acting
role.
legend Tim
Yep.
Pickett-Smith.
First TV role.
What else here? Ottawa is mentioned again in episode 3, which is nice.
Uh-huh.
I wrote down that there's 2 clothing notes I made. One, that is one of Joe's absolute best outfits, the brown coat and the I guess pink or off pink. I was like, she's not doing much, but she's looking good doing it. That's for sure. That is a fine looking outfit she's got
Right.
on. Also, there's that other scientist who goes from being the Doctor's helper to being his antagonist in about 10 seconds flat. But he has a giant turtleneck, and that thing is magnificent.
Yeah.
it's just that's a 70s turtleneck if ever there's been one.
He reminds
also-
me. You put a hat on him, and it reminds me of one of the villains from 101 Dalmatians.
Yeah, actually, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Also, I found that the people playing the golden versions of the Axons, or as I refer to them, these Caligula-looking MFs, are almost more disturbing than the spaghetti Axons. Like, because they do a really good job of playing these serene weirdos who you're not exactly sure what they're up to, right? So
Yeah.
even though they're in, you know, silly onesies and gold faces, somehow they pull it off. They're kind of creepy.
And they're also pretty.
Yeah.
That too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably why they're creepy. But
Yeah.
what else? Is there anything else I wrote down here? That's pretty much. Oh no, I wrote two other things. That exploding Jeep sequence is actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like where it's going down that cliff. I'm like, man, and then there's a coast to a different shot of it far away, and it's on fire, and I'm like, boy, oh boy, they went hard on this one. Also, my final note: Threegaldo confirmed. There's a lot of our flag means death action going on in that last episode between those two in the TARDIS, just nuzzling together. I'm like, yeah, this is pretty Threegaldo.
I have not heard the term Threegaldo before.
That's because I just invented it.
Okay, you heard it here first. Hashtag Threegaldo. Yeah. Chris, do you have any thoughts about Michael Ferguson on Claws of Axos? I know this is one you didn't watch especially for this, but you've probably seen it. I mean, you saw the season 8 Blu-ray recently, I bet. So.
Yep. No, I've watched this. I don't know. I have no idea how many times over the years. And then as a nice little aside, it was last year, I think. Mm-hmm. Going to Britain and met up with Andrew Smith, and he drove Kat and I down to Dungeon S, where some of the filming was done. So we're walking around that area for a little while. It's kind of cool. So nice little personal association with the story. But
is the power plant still there, or were there freak weather conditions? Was it snowing one day and
is there
then
a
like
derelict bike in the mud? Is it all mud?
Yeah,
there are definitely no freak
Luton
weather
does not come
conditions.
off well.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's always been. It's never been a favorite. That's not to say I don't like it. It's just compared to other things around it, especially in season 8, like Terror of the Autons and Colony in Space. There's just some stuff I like more, but it's still a great story, I think. And just to talk about Ferguson, just the way it's shot and all the technical accomplishments that you raved about, you guys raved about, like just it's just all bang on. It's just it's a feast for the eyes, and that doesn't happen in the hands of a crappy director.
No.
Yeah, this could have gone off the rails a whole lot more. It didn't really go off the rails, but it certainly could have.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he knew how to helm a production, did Michael Ferguson. And this is the last one. This is the last Doctor Who that he did. I feel we were robbed. His place, I think, gets taken over. Basically, Lenny Mayne takes that sort of recurring director slot from him after he moves on to whatever. He does Quiller. He does 3 episodes of Quiller, which is a series which just keeps calling to me to be watched, and I still haven't watched it, and I feel awful about it because that's right up my alley. It seems 1970s, mid-70s multicam Doctor Who directors, kick-ass theme song. Michael Ferguson directing it. Of course, in recent years, I've discovered The Sandbaggers, which is my favorite new to me show since I don't know when.
Same here. Yeah.
I absolutely adore The Sandbaggers, and a lot of it, honestly, is up to Michael Ferguson because he has he just uses the zoom lens just at the right moment at the right time. He doesn't overuse it, but whenever like Neil Burnside is talking on the phone or something like that, and like the penny drops or something, he realizes something, quick little zoom in right to it. And like, and I noticed like similar things in The Sandbaggers as in here. Like, he doesn't waste time getting from scene to scene. He will like just quickly cut. Let's do it. Boom. Like, oh, let's go see in his office, and bam, next cut. Like, it's just right there, and they are in the office and they're having a conversation. And it happens a few times in these Doctor Who's as well.
He apparently directed almost half the stories for The Sandbaggers.
He was also producer.
8 out of 20.
Yeah, he's also
my rewatch, which I've been plotting, is probably coming soon.
Yeah, Peter Gugine, the man who canceled Doctor Who in 1989, directed a whole bunch of other ones. So, yeah, Michael Ferguson, man, I think I've grown to really appreciate him. I think he was sort of in the background when I was concentrating and fawning over the Graham Harpers and Douglas Camfields of the world and the Peter Grimwades. But Michael Ferguson in recent years, I've just really become very appreciative of, and I'll
for quite a long time now. You've been looking forward to when we got Ferguson in the Miniscope. So
yeah. Yep, and I'm glad we did. He died a couple years ago in October of 2021, and even then, I almost want to say, what if we just rig the Miniscope and talk about him right now, because he's become one of my favorite classic Who directors, who should have obviously done more than the 4 stories that he did.
Like, because the great thing about him is that he took what he had at hand and he just maximized use of it, and I'd like to see what he would do now.
Yeah.
Like, say he was playing around with the volume or CG or whatever else, or just the way things are shot now. I'd like to see how he would handle that. Given in his prime, like, not drag him as an 80-year-old or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, as the young man he was back then, if you plopped him down now, and could you see what he would do with it?
Yeah, like what would he have done in, like, for Day of the Daleks? Paul Bernard has, I don't know, he's a weird little history with Doctor Who, as we covered in his Miniscope way back when, but he directed Day of the Daleks. Like, how would a Michael Ferguson have directed that? Like, a Dalek episode, proper Dalek episode would have been very interesting to see. Something set on space, I suppose, because we saw 4 Earthbound stories when it comes to his stuff on Doctor Who. How would that have handled? We'll never know, Or
even something else more or equally as contemporary, like you talked about, Michael E. Bryant messing up how the TARDIS materializes in Colony in Space.
Yeah.
Like, basic errors like that. And
Bernard messes it up in the Time Monster subsequently after that too. So
that's not the kind of thing a Michael Ferguson would do. No. Mind you, he also didn't have any. Well, yeah, never mind. But it's if there was the option to have him direct more, bring it on.
Yeah, would have been. Went on to direct Colditz as well, a show I've heard a lot about but never actually saw because it's never sort of been in our orbit, so to speak. It's been tough, but
it looks like he did the gamut, like the Bill and Colditz and Softly and Zed-Cars and
yeah. Long and fruitful career.
EastEnders, I think, was on there.
EastEnders is in there too. Directed 4 episodes of that in 1990. Yeah, and kind of just coasted into retirement, which all good BBC directors should do at some point. Never hung on. Became a producer as well. Produced Casualty, The Bill as well, up into the late 80s, and had a very long, successful career. We were lucky. To have him for the 4 Doctor Who stories. And he's on 3 of the 4 commentaries and has been on documentaries as well across the DVDs and Blu-rays. So, he was never one to sort of look back, with disgust or disdain over his early days in directing in Doctor Who. He always had
Or to hide
enthusiasm
from
for
it or anything.
Exactly. Yeah. Very good director of Doctor Who, Michael Ferguson. So, all right. All that's left now is to use the Miniscope to select a director who won't be as good as Michael Ferguson. I don't know who's left there, but I don't know how they're going to top Michael Ferguson.
We have a few writers left, but it's predominantly directors. Yeah,
We have other directors. All right. Chris, you got the randomizer out there? You want to spin it there for me?
all ready to go.
Okay, begin the spinning now. One more thing I want to mention too is when the doctor's talking, or is it the master or Filer? I can't remember, when they're talking to the lead Axon, and the camera sort of he's his face is hovering there, right? And it cuts from one camera, and then it turns, and then it dissolves to another one where he's facing it again, and then that one turns, and it goes in. I don't even remember the sequence like that, but it was great. Anyway, I've extended the Michael Ferguson talk into the banter that goes on over the randomizer. So, Chris, please stop.
Jamie Childs.
Jamie Childs. Did you?
Listing some recent new Who stuff. Jamie Childs, who is dating Jenna Coleman, isn't he?
I think he was or is at some point at time of recording. I don't know what.
Yeah.
We don't comment on such things on this podcast, of course.
What did he direct? Because I'm an ignoramus, can't remember these
What
things.
did he direct? He directed basically 4 episodes. What did he direct, Chris? I could rattle off classic Who directors, but he directed Women Who Fell to Earth. 4 episodes total in Jodie's first season. I want to say.
Why can't I load this up?
Does that sound right?
Internet.
I'm pretty sure it was The Woman Who Fell to Earth. Has appeared on this podcast.
The woman who fell to earth,
Right.
Demons of the Punjab, It Takes You Away, and the Battle of Round Skaro Kolos.
There we go.
So all series 11.
Yep.
right.
So there. I directed 4 episodes of The Sandman too, if you're into that, and two episodes of Willow, and Warren's new favorite thing, Jackdaw, as the director of that. So that's coming out.
I've never seen
Yeah.
it. I just like the name.
Exactly. So yeah.
Coming out. Yeah, we've told you about it before. And it's yet to be released, I believe.
Yep.
But,
I probably won't watch it, but I do like the name.
Yeah.
He also did a bunch of his Dark Materials as well. So.
That's true. Yeah. So interesting. His Dark Materials, made by Band Wolf Studios. Maybe a return is, and maybe we should hold off until we see the director listing for Series 15 when that comes out, to see who's directing anymore.
As we record this, I think it was very recently I sent you guys a link to some article on Screen Rant or some such, with Jamie Childs talking about RTD rehelming Doctor Who.
That's true.
Maybe he's trolling for a job.
Interesting. Maybe he is.
Hey, I'm sure we'll say bring him back at the end of his Miniscope, but bring him back.
Yeah, does some good stuff. All right, kids, we hop into the new series, almost as new as you can get when it comes to directors, and Jamie Childs, he'll be the next subject in the Miniscope. So until next time, I am Stephen in Edmonton.
We're in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
So long for now.